let's, now we're on to our normal public comment, and then we think we're doing good on time still. So those of you that sign up for normal public comment, we'll begin theirs. I just want to make sure, Tiffany, are you still here? Did you want to speak at this one as well, or you wanted the bond one? Okay, I'll scratch you from this one then. All right, so starting at the top of the list, again, we'll try Mr. Kimball online. Dave Kimball via Zoom, you're up.
There's the cue to unmute. Better now?
We can start to hear you a little bit, so keep talking.
Have that janitor crank up the volume, Jesus.
Yes, she cranked up and we can hear you. Take it away, Dave.
Okay, great. Okay, so the press suggested I'll be kinder and gentler to you folks. So get ready there, timekeeper. I'm going to start my stopwatch now. So I wished I'd been able to get in on the bond. There'll be plenty of time, I think. Either the board chair, here's the thing, the board needs to step down or make an honest commitment. This is going past to adhering to board policies ethically and honestly, because it hasn't been happening that way, Mr. Wilson. So no more demonstrations of arbitrary treatment of community members or board members who have differing views and opinions than yours. Permit no further public comment participants, including the spouse, to trample the board's adopted policies and governance model. Of course, it's not your responsibility to monitor your wife, but you're supposed to maintain appropriate meeting etiquette and ensure policies and rules are followed by all attendees and participants. So far, you continue to arbitrarily apply and enforce these rules during the public comment periods, and I know there'd be other people that would agree with me. Hang in here. About the SKSD communications officer's recent letter to the editor titled False Claims, it's not quite that simple. And I thought she was supposed to be an ambassador for the school district. You know, the attempt to keyboard shame Director Daly by filing, arguing about an OSPI investigation that had irregularities, outcomes, and findings. It's not the right way to go on this. I've never seen a communications officer try to slam a board director in the papers. Jesus. Apparently, there was more than a nothing burger on this, Mr. Wilson, as characterized, by the board. It's on tape. Watch it. Listen. No nib for you, Miss Miller. And when you state it's a waste of taxpayer dollars and community time for Mr. Daly to seek public records, I was flabbergasted. Now you can share a seat with two board directors who object to our rights of free speech and retain public records. As a reminder, I do recall you sitting in a board meeting where the superintendent tacitly chastised Mr. Daly for increasing the percentage of requests for public records by 600%. He didn't use his name, but it was quite clear. And why 600% increase? How about because of the constant and continuous slow walking of informal requests for these same public records by the district, but primarily by you, Mr. Winter? Yes, there is something terribly wrong with a sitting board director must request school district information via a Public Disclosure Act. Looks to me like I've got maybe 30 seconds. Is that right, Mr. Wilson?
Yeah, that's correct.
I'm just flabbergasted. I mean, I just can't believe that a person making $130,000 would go after. I mean, I sat the last couple of meetings ago and she was shushing me and glaring at me. And meanwhile, everybody was clapping like crazy. And yet we were told not to do that. So it's all situational, what's allowed, Mr. Wilson. I just think you really need to take a gut check on what you're doing on this when you manage these meetings. I really think if you can't, you need to step down. It's just
Mr. Kimball, that's your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Winter, do you want me to the list?
Either way, Chrissy Wiley is next on the list.
Wow, that was something. I want to start by thanking Jeff Daly for reminding us all that big, complicated things are hard. But should we be able to do these hard things, I think we're going to be in good shape. I've been coming to these meetings for a couple of months now, and I've learned a lot. It's been really super educational. And I've been hearing a lot about parents' rights. And I respect that. I respect parents' rights. I'm not personally here for that. I'm here for the kids. But I haven't really heard a very good definition of what parents' rights covers. I mean, you don't have the right to beat your kids. There are limits to those rights. But I've been seeing some examples that concern me. One example is in Tallahassee, Florida, where there has been a teacher whose fifth grade class was pulled out one by one and sent to an investigator. They were investigating a charge from a school board member that this teacher was indoctrinating them. This teacher was accused of indoctrinating her children into the homosexual lifestyle by showing them a film. So what was this film? It was the Disney film called Strange World. And in this film, there wasn't a gay sex scene. There wasn't any kissing. There was one male character that said, hey, I used to have a crush on another male character. And that was it. There was plenty of kissing between the heterosexual parental couple in the film, and nobody had a problem with that. But because there was one reference to a gay character in a film that the kids saw, that the kids had parental permission slips to see, she was pulled from her class, and each one of those kids was sent down to an investigator to be interrogated in 5th grade. Now tell me, is this a good use of parental rights to subject all of these kids, some of them who may have had anxieties about other issues in the first place, to be singled out and to be investigated, and for this teacher to be investigated for indoctrinating kids when she showed them a Disney film? If this is what parental rights means, I think we need to have a bigger conversation, because I don't think this is within your rights to dictate that the whole school operates according to your particularly specific idea of what the world should be. Because there's a gay character in a movie. If you have a problem with that, then you have a problem with me standing up here. I'm gay, I'm trans. So if you have a problem with that, come and talk to me. Some kids are gay and I'm here for them. I wasn't able to say that when I was a kid, and I am now. And I'm going to stand here and say it for them. And if you have a problem with that, come talk to me. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chrissy. Next is Martha Hammond. Welcome, Martha.
I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak at both these public comments, and also just for your service to the community, all of you. And I want to thank all of the teachers and everybody in the staff going through whatever they're going through with negotiations and budget cuts and all of the things that have been going on. I feel you. There are a couple of things I want to address that have come up here in meetings when I've been watching and attending. And I just want to do a little fact checking here. The first one is CRT, or critical race theory, and it continues to be brought up. CRT is a non-issue in the K through 12 public school setting. It does not exist. No one anywhere in this country is teaching CRT in public schools. It is strictly done at the university level. It is a, quote, cross-disciplinary examination by social and civil rights scholars and activists of how laws, social and political movements, and media shape and are shaped by social conceptions of race and ethnicity. And the word critical is used there because it's an academic reference to critical thinking, critical theory, and scholarly criticism, not about criticizing or blaming people. Okay, so that's CRT, non-issue in this district and elsewhere. The other two things are the Senate Bill 5599 and House Bill 1469, which were both brought up by a community member. These were both signed into law recently, 1469 in April and 5599 in May. They were brought up and referred to as specifically leading Washington state into a transgender sex trafficking state where none of our children will be safe. That's a quote. This is not true. I have read both of these and highlighted them. They are very long, but basically 1469 is what's called the Planned Parenthood Bill, and it shields individuals who provide, obtain, or support abortion and gender-affirming care. And I'm sure many of you have heard about this one, and it has to do with protecting people and protecting the right to abortion in this state and gender-affirming care as well. The other one, 5599, is designed to ensure shelter for teens seeking reproductive health services or gender affirming care and have been, for example, kicked out of their houses, or they're somehow homeless, or they are in a shelter situation where they need to continue to receive their care.
Martha, that is the time is up. If you can
Okay,
finish your last
thank you.
thought. Thank you.
And I just want to say that that's what those are really about. And those are the facts.
Thank you. Next up is Keith Hauk.
I'll go ahead and reply. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is it Jessica?
She had to leave.
Should leave, okay. Francis Doyle.
Dr. Wilson, Mr. Winters, thank you, board members. I was just wondering if you could give me a forecast of when your smarter balanced assessment for 2022 to 23, the metrics will be coming out, because I'm interested in that. And I also have one other comment on these bills that were passed by the state legislature. We, on the other side, have no issues with whatever people determine for their own good. No one supports any kind of violence or any kind of activism to impact someone's own wants, what they want to be, what they aspire to be. But what people try to miss is that when state legislatures pass bills, there's people on the other side of the aisle that may not agree with everything. That doesn't mean they'll disrespect people because of what they are or what they portray or what influence they want to have over the community. It's just that there's people that have disagreements. And anyone in the room can say for the last 50 years that this country hasn't been moved further and further apart. It's just fooling themselves. Got to talk, got to work things out. It's pretty simple if you talk to one another, but you can't I can't force my opinion down someone's throat. Not that I would. And I don't expect anyone to force their beliefs or opinion down my throat. The law is the law. They passed it. Doesn't make it right. Doesn't make it morally right. Doesn't make it that I have to wholeheartedly accept it. But, you know, I'm open to criticism, and I'm open to getting pushed back. The other thing that I worry about is if people say that the bonds haven't passed for 32 years. I'm from the East Coast originally. I've been here for 48 years. And you know what I hear from a lot of people my age, 70 and over, is the schools are struggling to get the children educated to the level they really need to be competitively. And they're worried. And when budgets are forecasted like this, I don't know if you have done a risk assessment on this entire project, because that's normal protocol. And if you do that, you would come up with some number. I don't know if there's what risk reserve is in on this notional number that you have. I don't know how you come to that conclusion. I looked at this maintenance budget on your thing. You have 8.1% maintenance, and I hear nothing but comments, things being broke, things not getting fixed. And then I look at teaching and curriculum and student support, 72% of the budget. So my theory is, you know, just crunching the numbers. I just think we just got more work to do, and we all got to talk about what needs to be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Marcy Decker.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I specifically wanted to thank the board for following state law and for supporting diversity and inclusion in our schools. Acceptance in the form of diversity and inclusion creates belonging and community, whether this is at home or this is at school or this is at work. Sadly, some kids don't get this at home. I've been to schools before where there was a lack of diversity and a lack of support for the other. I work for a large corporation and we have constant training for diversity and inclusion. And I can say in that environment, it's incredibly healthy when we have teams together. We learn, we grow. It's amazing. I can't speak enough about that. And of course, kids are one day going to join the workforce. And so it's critical that they understand these things. The past few months in these board meetings, people have stood here and said during the comment period that acceptance and belonging saves lives. Specifically, they said it saved their lives. And if that doesn't choke everybody up in here, I don't know what would. I moved here 20 years ago from a southern state, and I've personally been up close and seen the lack of diversity and the lack of support. People that I love. I'm getting choked up now. So I can't say enough about it. I really can't. Acceptance is common sense. It's common courtesy. We don't have to understand opinions and people's personal truths. We don't have to agree, but at the very least, we need to be kind. And I just want to thank you again for all your support, and Mr. Wilson, you specifically. Thank you, everybody.
Logistics. So you got the time, you'll keep your time. Okay. Okay. Next up is David May, I believe. And then after that is Dan Smallwood, who's going to be on Zoom.
I'm back, sorry. Facts do matter, and I'm totally with the gentleman in the back row that we have to talk to each other. We definitely do. But because facts matter, that's what should control the discussion that we have with each other. You can't not build a school because somebody thought they saw a barred owl. I mean, a barred owl is what we think is a spotted owl up here. Spotted owls are almost extinct. They're not around here whatsoever. I'm an amateur ornithologist. I love watching birds. We got barred owls there driving the owl. Facts matter. You can't not build a school because somebody thought a spotted owl showed up. Facts matter in terms of smarter balance. Yeah, the schools in this district are dropping in their scores. The entire world scores are dropping. That's the facts. We can't talk to each other unless we have a world of facts. And when we talk about the budget, it's factual. It's very difficult for me to imagine that a couple-year process didn't discover that there was a salmon stream behind Olalla. I think probably that was well known. Facts matter. We got to talk to each other, and we got to base our projections on what's going on. Mr. Berg said in a couple meetings ago that you can use statistics to prove a point, and when you do, you've lost the point, because statistics are an amalgamation that can be bent and twisted in any number of directions. I believe I'm quoting you correct. So again, guys, we got to look at each other. We got to talk to each other. We have to put kids first, not our beliefs. When a kid shows up and says, you may think I'm a boy, but I'm really a girl, that's a fact. That's a fact to that kid. That kid is presenting themselves to the district factually. That's who they are. That kid is a fact. We deal with it. We don't say, I'm sorry, I don't believe in that kind of transformation. It's not your business. That's a fact. The kid is there. And the fact is, we need a new school, but we're going to put up with a rebuild. And we need a new 3 or 4 elementaries, and we're going to put up with a rebuild. Let's get behind the kids in this district and give them the best that they can get. Thank you.
Okay, next up is Dan Smallwood on Zoom. Okay, well, if he comes back up, because we still have a couple more people here, we can include him in, so. All right, let's see, John Richardson.
My name is John Richardson. I want to talk about three things. I want to talk about expertise. I want to talk about personal liberty, and I'd like to talk about happiness. And expertise. We have people. Okay, it's a big pet peeve of mine when people speak and they don't have expertise on something. Director Daly was speaking a lot about things that Lee Fenton, who worked on that committee, would have a lot more expertise in, because he's been an architect for schools and built schools in other places. I do have some joy in this whole thing, because Director Daly, who has been against every levy, every bond we've ever had, even before he was a director, is very concerned about this, because he brought this huge laundry list out of ridiculous things to go against it. I mean, the aquifers, they sound terrifying. They sound like someone off of Game of Thrones. I'm not sure what that is, but sounds terrifying. But anyway, I'm very positive and excited about it, because if a community member who's been against the bond is that concerned about it, that he's going to make things up and say things like this, then that gives me hope that we're going to pass this thing. Okay, on to personal liberty. I want to talk really quick about personal liberty. You know, I hear the right say that a lot, you know, the far right say that a lot, but I don't think they really know what it means, because personal liberty, this is what we're talking about when we talk about kids having the ability to choose when they come out, to choose who is going to come out, who is going to be the person who tells their parents that they're out. The whole thing about parents' rights, where is the students' rights in all of this? If my kid is gay or trans or anything, and either one of them, and they come out, I want them to tell me eventually when they're ready. I don't want the school district to tell me. There's a reason for these laws and these rules. Okay, and on happiness, I don't think people understand how much of an impact these board meetings are having in the community. And by that, I mean with our kids. We have kids and teachers in the community right now, and other adults, I should say, in the community as well, who are being hurt by the horrible things that are being said and the attacks that are happening at these board meetings. We have kids trying to commit suicide because of the things that they're hearing and the things in the community, and it's not okay to be who they are. Can we please stop this and get back to what we should be doing, which is working on a better education for our kids? Thank you.
All right, next up is Robert Parker.
Good evening, board. My name is Robert Parker. First, I kind of like to bring this to your attention. I think it's the manual by which you guys operate. Except I just heard someone at this podium speak illy about that board member, and you, as president, laugh at it. I don't think that's in there. I was on video watching the last meetings, and I watched you give your fellow employee and your wife a mic for over 3 minutes to speak illy by name of people in that audience. I'm speaking directly to you. That is a lack of leadership. This community needs leadership. It needs you to stand tall, not just with the people that agree with you. I also spoke to the superintendent because everybody's complaining about the public records cost. I wanted to know if you were in fact teaching CPR to every child in this school district, because that's what the law reads. Superintendent didn't get back to me. That caused a records request, of which your employee stalled on, went past the date she was going to give it to me, and then tried to unlawfully charge me above what the state law says that you can charge me. So don't talk to me about some laws that you want to follow and some laws that you don't. I've spoken to 18 children that graduated from this high school. Not one of them could tell me that you taught them CPR. You have the equipment. I see this tiny bit of time. Maybe if you're about safety and you're about saving lives, you might want to teach the CPR that's in the law so that maybe if one of those parents goes face down at home, the children that go through this school district can help their kids or maybe help you. Because it may be you that has the heart attack or somebody in this audience. To fail to properly teach our children is not excusable. When you have state records that say you graduate 88% and only 26% in this school can pass math. And you say there's only 63.8 that are regularly attending. How do you graduate people that aren't regularly attending? Something's not registering here. And all the little bickering that's going around in circles months after months after months, that's important. You want to pass a bond? Show us leadership. You want to pass a levy? Show me leadership. Because my granddaughter goes here. She is in this district. And if you don't give her a proper education, I'll be here every meeting. Thank you.
Next is Amanda Odell. Amanda.
Good evening. It was my understanding that participating in public comment portion of this meeting was to address the board, whether it be praise, questions, concerns, criticism, etc., not to address community members who have made previous comments directed at this board. Apparently, I was mistaken. Heather Wilson, librarian, teacher, and wife of the president of this board, has done this on numerous occasions and has apparently become a mouthpiece for her husband and or this board. She stated on 415 meeting that the book 19 Minutes was nowhere in the school district and that if people wanted to see the school books available, we can go online to the South Kids Up website and find all available books. I already did that previously to my comments made on 315, and here's the list. However, sometime after 315, the book was removed. Unfortunately, this board and the South Kids Up administration staff believe it's okay to teach our children to lie and deceive their parents when it comes to gender, pronouns, names, etc. Therefore, I have no doubt that the books and curriculum are being hidden as well. This is what happens when you try and deceive people. They no longer believe you. In addition, considering there are members of this board up for re-election and a vote of the SK bond is on the horizon, Heather Wilson's comments that if we don't have kids in this district, we should give up our speaking time for someone who has something positive to say was ignorant at best. Last I checked, community members without children in this district still pay taxes and still have a vote. So their rights are just as important as the parents. Unfortunately for her, this does not bring in community members to vote, especially regarding the bond, which hasn't passed in the school district since February of 1988. This board is supposed to be nonpartisan. However, at the 315 board meeting, some community members in attendance clapped and cheered during my 3 minutes, and Mr. Wilson stopped my time and threatened to remove everyone in there if there were additional outbursts of support. However, at the 419 meeting, the opposing side got claps, cheers, and encouragement from some members in attendance, and Mr. Wilson said nothing, nor did any of the rest of you. I've spoken to numerous parents and teachers within this district, and they are not fans of what they are seeing or hearing taking place behind the scenes in this district. How else would we know about the hidden profiles? However, they do not come forward and make their voices heard due to the backlash and fear of getting fired and or targeted, or fear of their children being targeted or reprimanded. Finally, a comment was made on 419 that there was a sign brought in about transgender persons being pedophiles, and that the person who brought the sign stated this as well. This was never said, and the sign did not say this either. However, what was addressed was grooming. What is grooming? Grooming is when someone builds a relationship, trust, and emotional connection with the child or young person so they can manipulate, exploit, and abuse them. Children and young people who are groomed can be sexually abused, exploited, or trafficked. Rule number 1, don't tell your parents.
Did we ever get Dan Smallwood back? No, okay. Next up is Heather Wilson.
All right, thank you for my First Amendment right to speak to you, even though I am a employee of this district. I also have children in this district. I'm a community member. Jeff is my spouse, but I choose to speak for one reason, because I feel very passionately that the truth needs to be told, just like Mr. May. Mr. May, thank you for talking about the truth. And what I'm constantly hearing from the people that are showing up at this meeting is the untruth, the absolute opposite of truth. And by the way, that book was never in the library. Sorry, Amanda, but it's just not true. So what I stand for, I'm a librarian. I stand for facts. And what I also stand for is refuting the lies that are being told. So I'm sorry, Beach Troll, that's intimidating to you. I'm sorry, Amanda, that's intimidating to you, but I will continue to come here and I will speak facts. One of those facts is that at the last board meeting, Holly Cruz suggested that I be fired because I come up here and I speak my mind. So just so you know, I also pointed out that we are having an election. There are 3 board members that are up for re-election. So please, please, please read the facts about those board members when you choose to vote. I have so much to say. I just can't get it all in. At the last meeting, last special meeting last week, I'll wait till you're done talking. The last board meeting was a teachers meeting. We were talking about the financial situation of the district. I chose to come up and speak about teachers' appreciation. I'm sorry that's intimidating to people as well. I don't come up here and speak because my husband tells me what to say. I come up here and speak because I have something to say and I have a voice. And I'm sorry, I think he can keep track of 3 minutes for every one of you. And I've witnessed on several occasions, some of you speaking over your 3-minute limit. So just saying. So anyway, I noticed as on my way in today that some of the people that were listed on my teaching appreciation list that I read off last week, that most of these people didn't come to the meeting. Some of those people are here in the audience. So I just wanted to take a moment to thank Steve and Bertie Kilmaddox for being influential in me coming around and becoming a teacher and devoting my life to children in this district, because these are the type of people that our children need. Thank you.
And I believe last but not least is Tasha Rob. I had it right the first time. If I just would have been quiet, I would have been okay. Sorry about that.
No, thank you for letting me speak because I got so lost. So what is normal? Defined by the dictionary, usual, average, or a typical state or condition. This past weekend, a 15-year-old girl died in her sleep. Seems not normal to me. All I ever wanted was normal, and I was told the upside down world was only for 2 weeks. I am an AOL dial-up and net meeting child porn internet trafficking survivor. I was traded live for boys. I was born here in Washington and I've lived here my entire life. I had pre-recorded videos and hidden cameras in my home. I never thought in the course of this lifetime word definitions would change or become completely eradicated. Hypochondriac, normal, groomer, pornography. I've already sued because the school didn't listen to my complaints of pornography exposure. Mandated reporters couldn't recognize grooming then, and here you are making matters worse because you're actually performing 2 of the clinical grooming steps yourselves: secrecy and showing pornography. Any child who goes to public school is more susceptible to harm because of you blurring the lines for aid, even more so than was already done to me. If that is the legacy you want to leave behind, then by all means, keep acting like you don't have the power to create policy. Until then, you will be viewed as morally and legitimately bankrupt. The RCW codes for grooming in Washington do not exist. You cannot prove it without a cash or gift transaction. That doesn't mean if you go to a trauma center, they will not turn around and tell you all the clinical grooming steps. You should be ashamed of yourselves. You are adults. By the way, I'm the library coordinator for Moms for Liberty. So expertise, I'm the survivor who already did it. Thanks.
Thank you. And I think that's completes our list.